Welcome to Modern Art Blitz with Matt Gleason, but Matt Gleason is out of town today.
He's at the Dallas Art Fair selling art.
As he should be.
He did. He sold some Chuck Swinson, I think.
That's fantastic.
I know. I'm your co-host, Lisa Derrick. So there, and
I am Abel, Alejandre.
And you have an amazing show, a beautiful show at Coagula right now, and you're also the executive producer of Modern Art Blitz. So it's an honor to share the chair with you. You've been on here before as a guest and as a sketcher, but now you're here as the host.
And I'm more comfortable as the producer, but behind the scenes. But I'm happy to be here, and we have an amazing guest today.
Are we going to say who it is now, or are we going to let the audience dangle? Oh, and before I forget, we have a new feature on Modern Art Blitz.
That's right.
It's a chat bar. So those of you who are watching live, you can chat and ask questions, and we'll see it across the bottom of the screen, and we will read them out loud with your screen name if you want. Like, don't say my screen name, everyone thinks I'm at work, that's fine. But if you want, because we know so many people ditch work to watch this show. So I want to talk to you about a very interesting piece of news.
Tell me.
And since your work deals a lot with men and masculinity, maybe you'll have some insight into the short-fingered vulgarian that is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the subject of a painting which depicts his manhood as rather childlike, shall we say? And it's hanging in a London gallery because allegedly the artist Ilma Gore received death threats here in the United States. So it's hanging in a London gallery where she's asking £1 million, which I think is a bit much. 100,000 pounds, yes. $1 million is, but she's gotten threats of a lawsuit from an anonymous source. Now, do you think this is PR?
Well, it is PR. I mean, it has to be PR. The question is really, is it Trump's PR or the artist's PR?
Right, but if it was Trump, wouldn't he say, I'm going to sue you for $1 million if you sell this piece of art?
I would say it's probably more an attempt to quiet the artist, to scare the artist. If it is the Trump campaign or Trump himself, but if he talked about it publicly, it might bring more attention.
And he would also look like a really big douchebag and somebody who censors the art and censors free speech. And to make America great, again, we need to have free speech.
If they brought more attention to it, more people would go see,
they'd try to see his penis.
His unit, right.
Yeah, it's more just like a U in the painting. But it's possible that he's a grower, not a shower.
I wouldn't know, but
Yeah.
I bet that there isn't much there.
It's the short-fingered vulgarian. But here's something. What would happen, and I wonder how the artist would feel if people started using those postage stamp print on demand, using her artwork, so you'd be mailing out, she wouldn't be selling it, but you would be using micropene Donald Trump to go pay your bill, to mail your bills for the DWP or the mortgage.
I would probably send my IRS, my IRS returns with a Trump stamp.
Tiny. Now, Trump actually, our guest mentioned to us today that Trump means, in England, it's a slang term for flatulence, for a large fart.
Well, how appropriate.
And I won't even go into how fast fecal matter is emitted from your rectum. Well, Matt told us we couldn't do this show in the nude, so we're just doing it as a 12-year-old would. We're talking about farting and penises and stuff. But we actually have a very ladylike and lovely guest, so I'll try and restrain myself somewhat.
Yes, please do.
She's a delightful and beautiful woman and an exquisite artist as well.
Yes, she is.
And I have to say, her nude drawing at the Erickman Swinson Nude Survey 1 was one of the standout, if not the standout pieces.
Show favorite. Please welcome the amazing Serena Potter.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
It's lovely to have you. So, I'm familiar with your drawing, but I understand as well you also paint?
Yes.
Oil or acrylic?
Actually, painting has been my main medium for most of my life. It's only been the last couple of years that I really started drawing as serious finished pieces. And really that started because I started teaching, and one of my first classes was a drawing class, and I thought I've got to prove to these students that I can draw so they'll respect me.
And where do you teach?
Oh, I teach all over the place.
Oh, you're a freeway flyer?
Yes, adjunct. I teach at Mount Sac and at Saddleback College. I'm mentoring in the MFA at Laguna College of Art and Design, and online for National University.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? How does that work?
Gosh, well, I teach both art history and drawing. The drawing classes are fairly new there for online, and it's unique. We have...
Do they scan their work and email it in?
Yes. To start out, they have videos that they watch, and the video will give them sort of a lesson in history and concept, and then it'll say, stop the video and do this drawing assignment.
Whoa.
And then it'll say, take a picture of your drawing, post it to the blog, and then start the video, and it gives them the further lesson and so forth.
How freaking cool is that?
So yeah, it's good. And then I do a live session, an hour and a half each week from my studio. And so I just use my laptop and the camera on my laptop, and it's
technology.
Right.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've got these live classrooms so they can see what I'm doing. If I'll kind of go over what they've covered, but add my own twist to things and give them my input and demo. If I need a further demo, I'll set up my camera and do one separately and post it to them. So.
Well, let's talk about some of your art behind you, which we've set up on our fabulous green screen here at Drone Box Studios.
This is one of the pieces you had at the Long Beach Museum, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a respectable size.
I don't know. Like this?
It's,
Yeah. No,
I can't remember its inches.
It's beautifully rendered. I meant to ask you before we go any further. Is that show over at the museum?
Yes. Let's see. That came down the end of March, and then I was off to England for a week, and now I'm here.
And what other? I know you've shown at other museums and galleries. Do you want to just give us a quick highlight?
Gosh, well, right now I've been showing frequently with Q Art Salon in Santa Ana, and they're sort of rotating me through their shows, and it's a really great gallery, really supporting representational work, which we don't have a lot of, especially with Copland Del Rio leaving Culver City. There are a lot of representational artists out there right now trying to figure out where to find.
Well, where to land, huh?
Where to land, yeah. And
so are you at this place? Are you showing your drawings or your paintings or both? Both. And do you consider yourself, now you've been drawing more, do you consider yourself a painter still, or a drawer, or an artist?
I'm an artist.
An artist first.
Yeah, you know, I do what I have to do. The drawings and the paintings fulfill different needs for me.
Right.
So I'm working on a painting right now. I'm also finishing up a drawing, and I like going back between the two of them. And you know, I've done 2 performance art videos. I'm open to medium, whatever I need to use to accomplish what I need to accomplish. So.
This painting here, what's happening in this painting?
Well, it's a little difficult to see here with us in front
Maybe
of
we
it.
can. Maybe Nolan can make us go away.
Yeah, make us go away, Nolan. There
Yay!
So, at her foot there is a hole in the ground, which I'm not sure how clear you can see that.
Is this
on the screen.
Persephone?
This, the model's actually a friend of mine.
Right,
and
but
I
is
tend
the
to
image?
paint people that I know.
Right, but is it with the hole in the ground and the flowers, and it reminds me of like the myth of Persephone.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, and I like that. And if you want to bring that to it, that's great.
Awesome, thank you. But this is just a portrait of a friend of yours.
Well, portrait is not really the right word. I'm communicating emotions and experience, and I tend to draw or paint people that are close to me, that are experiencing something that I know they'll bring an empathy to the work. So I paint very specific people in situations where it's communicating either what they're going through or something that we can relate to, my own experience or their experience. And so this particular painting.
In this case, the woman is burying very delicately some eggs or unearthing them. I'm not sure.
And I left it open purposefully so the viewer can decide, is she putting the eggs into the ground or is she taking them out of the ground?
It's gorgeous, gorgeous.
There
piece.
we go. Oh, wow. That is beautiful.
And I have, eggs have been showing up in my work on and off for the last few years. So people always ask me, what's with the eggs? So
what's with the eggs?
And they take on different roles in different paintings. Though overall the eggs generally are they represent to me those things that we nurture, that we protect, those things that are, an egg can be fairly strong, but it's also breakable. So it might be your relationships, your family, it might be your faith, your dreams, your goals, your hopes. All of those things I feel can be embodied in that egg.
Maybe we can see another piece of artwork, Nolan.
This is one of my favorites.
Oh, wow. Wow, it's got that very 1950s, 60s domestic magazine vibe to it, from my perspective.
So you must tell us the history of this. I've heard it already, but for
No, and I'm
audience.
dying. I want to hear it, definitely.
Well, my paintings have just naturally, they've tend to fall into two different categories visually. There are those like the one that we just saw that have more of that Renaissance chiaroscuro kind of lighting, also influenced by film noir, which I love those old black and white movies. And then there are these others that tend to fall into that golden age of illustration, color and lighting. Norman Rockwell, J.C. Leyendecker are artists that I've looked at a lot. And they have a little more maybe satire to them. There's a little edge or humor there. On the outside, the color, the setting, the clothing makes you feel that golden age. Everything's great, when America was good and great and wonderful and perfect, which it wasn't, but we tend to think that. But then as you get closer to the subject, you realize, oh, well, he has a rock in his hand. And he looks ready, like, there's a tension there.
Nolan, could we see the whole? Thank you.
And she's on this ladder rather precariously.
With a book.
So, yeah.
Damned intellectual women.
So I don't expect my viewers to know what my narrative was here, but I was responding to a situation that I had as a teenager. I used to climb this tree in the front yard and read. And I was probably, I'd say maybe 16, and one day this boy from down the street came up, and I'd say he was probably 13, 14. And he started shouting at me and shaking his fist and saying, "You get down from there, you're gonna hurt yourself. You get down from there right now, you're gonna hurt yourself. Get down right now or I'm gonna throw a rock at you." And I just remember.
Whoa, that's some cognitive dissonance, isn't it, Junior?
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember feeling completely baffled by his lack of logic, but afraid because I knew that he didn't recognize his lack of logic. And it was one of those moments that stuck with me, because as you age and experience life, you realize there's so much of this out there. So much in life follows that logic. Right now I can think of a lot of political things that follow that same logic.
That same path, right.
Going with your earlier discussion. So I that's where I was kind of coming from when I started this, though I like to put adults into these childhood or youth memories. And so the rolled up jeans and the tennis shoes were sort of putting the boy back into the man. And
so maybe Nolan can give us the full shot of this.
One of my
there you
favorites.
go.
Wow.
And this is crop circles.
Yes.
Right, is the title of this piece, and it's graphite on paper.
No, it's charcoal.
Charcoal. Oh, okay.
Charcoal on cotton rag. And that's my husband with his head in the medicine cabinet.
Oh, and how did he feel about being the subject?
Well, my family knows that they each have to take their turns, and it's just part of being in my family.
Did you take a snapshot and work off the photo, or did you have him stand and you sketched it out, or was it from memory, or?
A drawing like this will probably take me anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks.
So you just couldn't have him
I
stand?
set up elaborate photo shoots. I need to get the light just right to get the volume that I want and the information that I want. And so, yeah, I'll set everything up and I'll take maybe, it depends on the photo shoot, something like this, maybe 100 pictures until I flip through and find what I want. And I print out enlargements and close-ups of various parts, and I have pictures all over the place that I'm pulling from when I'm working.
Okay, because you're an art history teacher and both of you are artists. I have a question that has been like freaking me out for ages. Back in the olden days, they didn't have cameras, but almost every artist I know now works off of photo. They've taken shots, they've different angles, they do what you do. I think you work off of photos as well?
Yeah, well
what did they do back then? How did Caravaggio or even like the Impressionists hold
here's
that
the
in
thing,
their memory?
and I don't know if this is true for you, Serena, but I know that for me, I could easily draw someone live as I can from a photo. The difference is that people will not sit for you for that long.
Exactly.
And before, 100, 200 years ago,
People didn't have a lot to do.
Or 800 years ago, people didn't have a lot to do. People could sit for days and weeks and months if needed. But people don't have that kind of patience anymore. I would just love if my sitters could sit for a week. If I get a week out of someone just come in.
But doesn't the light change and
you can control that in a studio setting. But
really, like those incredibly, like I think of Judith cutting off the head, that famous, where it's like the guy's leaning back and her just standing in a fixed position for hours is brutal.
Well, I think in those cases, they did a lot of sketches, a lot of preliminary sketches and drawings, and with the painting, a lot of that was just them directly with the canvas, going off of what they know and
their skills. Because whoa, how the heck did they do that without photos? I mean, I understand the purpose of a camera obscura for certain things, but just to have someone, and I've worked as an artist model, and just holding a position when I was younger, a little more limber, but holding positions for long periods of time is really grueling.
Yeah, I think I sat for someone, and after half an hour, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was going insane at not being able to move. So I can imagine, how a professional sitter would go through. I think that a lot of times, we forget that the training was so intense before for these artists. And they did, like Serena said, they would do a lot of preliminary sketches, and from doing so many paintings, so many exercises, what the skin tones and what the what things should look like.
And the tricks of the trade.
The tricks of the trade, right? But people did sit for a lot longer than people are willing to now.
They did, and they came back day after day after day until the painting was done.
So moving along, speaking of sitting, we have 2 women sitting in a closet.
Yeah.
And looking
Nolan,
at
could we have the whole thing, please? Thank you.
and looking at what
Magazines?
the magazines. They're reading the articles. I take it.
And funny enough, I borrowed those magazines from your last week's guest, Jim.
Karen.
What are they exactly? Oh my God, that's too much information. I can't.
Vintage
Playboy.
Vintage Playboy.
And they were hilarious. We had fun looking at those. So, not Jim and I.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because it was starting to get like really creepy.
No, my friend Amber and I, we were laughing at those. They really were all about the articles.
They were. Well, Robert Anton Wilson, the great futurist, wrote for Playboy. And Playboy, my dad had a collection of vintage Playboys, and I used to look at them as a young girl, which is probably why, I'm just so open-minded these days and have. But at any rate,
Okay.
It was fascinating for me to I would read the jokes. I would learn all these little dirty. I still remember some.
Silverstein was in there.
Right. The interviews were great, and they were not that smutty by comparison. I mean,
Oh no, the centerfold in one of these had on little yellow pedal pushers and was just sort of turned to her side. So that's what you saw.
like a little. You saw a side boob and some.
That was it.
Yeah, and then as it got, as things became more liberated, but there was none. Yeah, but anyway, so you guys are reading.
So this is another one based on a childhood experience that stuck with me. Early teens, those moments, summertime, and I was at my friend's house and nobody was around and we were bored, and she's like, hey, my dad has these magazines in his closet. And so I remember sitting there and just having that realization that, okay, men like this. And we're going to turn into this, because we weren't quite there yet. We hadn't quite hit puberty. But there must be something wrong with it because it's hidden in his closet. And I wonder what his mother or what her mother thinks about this. Does she know about the magazines in the closet? But that learning at an early age that women have this tough line to walk. We're supposed to be the women in the magazine. But at the same time, there must be something slightly off about this.
Because we're hidden away.
So I recreated the closet of what I thought would be a respectable man.
A respectable man.
It's
So many colorful shirts, though.
Well, it has to be a fun painting.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, it has to be a good painting. So that's...
And that works really well. I love
the
colorfulness of it.
Yeah, no, you see all these dress shirts, and a not too respectable man. If you have magazines, your kids will find them.
Exactly.
This is true. So yeah, it was fun. We captured different expressions. So Amber's looking a little disgusted, and I used myself, and I'm slightly intrigued. So just
It's her
dad,
so I mean, no wonder it's a little.
Well, but
Right.
in the painting, you don't know that.
Exactly.
I did bring it to one of my classes, and it was great just letting the students give the narrative. They came up with all these stories. This is her neighbor and they're best friends, and her husband's having an affair, and they found the magazines, but what she doesn't know is that she's the one that he's having the affair with, and they came up with this whole story
It's like
just
telenovela.
based
Wow.
on the painting.
Okay.
So I think it's great to see what people have to bring.
So what is this? Ooh, she's.
So this is called Facelift, and it's my mother, my entire life, she's been looking in the mirror and stretching out her face and asking me if this is what she'd look like with the facelift. So last time she was here in the summer, I just thought, Mom, it's time for us to draw your facelift. And she hates it. She does. She thinks it's horrible. She says, don't tell anybody that's me.
Hi, Mom.
And yet everybody thinks it's beautiful, and I think she's beautiful, and it's really just a lot of my drawings are about those things that we have to come to terms with, our bodies changing, the pressures that we feel socially to live up to these standards, to not age, to not have spots, to not have wrinkles, to not lose your hair, all of those things that we're bombarded with, and it never leaves. Even in her 80s, she's worried about her wrinkles. So
this is such a beautiful piece, and there's such an intimacy that, you know, in your drawings, and particularly in this one, that, you know, the paintings, it's harder to do with the painting, I think. I just love this this piece. It's also a good size, if I remember correctly.
It's another.
Yeah.
like this. No, it took a while.
It's a gorgeous piece. How long did it take you to do this one? Couple weeks?
A couple months.
Couple months?
Well, and teaching in between.
Yeah.
So, and with the drawings, I really, a lot of them, the viewer is the mirror. So the one with the crop circles, he was looking in the mirror. In this one, we're the mirror.
Right.
Interesting.
Can we see the next one? There we go.
Ooh, there it is.
That was
our bodies ourselves. Take that mirror and check it out.
That was the one at the
Erickman Swinson Nude Survey 1.
Yeah.
He asked me to create a piece for the show, and he didn't give me any instructions or have anything in mind. But just knowing Eric and knowing his show, I knew there would be a whole lot of perfect-bodied nudes in this show, 20-something-year-olds, and I thought, I'm going to do something real.
And you did, and it's great, and I love that you put those dimples that are right like here, that women get, and it's just so, it was beautiful, and it's really like her pinky out, like she's sexy. You made a very sexy, real person. It's gorgeous.
Well, it's funny because I have 2 daughters, and they're always seeing what I do, and half the time they think I'm crazy, but the one walked in and she's like, oh, we've already seen your boobs. Do we have to see this too? I'm like, yes.
But look, that waist is so thin, and then the curve of it's gorgeous.
Well, thank you.
It's gorgeous.
So, as a man, I have to ask. So, is this something that happens, you know, a lot, where you know you have to inspect yourself, or you feel like you have to? I mean, for me, it just feels like almost like something I shouldn't be seeing as a man, and if it's like, you know, just a peek into an intimate moment.
Well, it was responding back to what I was saying before about those pressures we feel. You know, how does my ass look? You know, women are always trying to make sure that everything looks good, and so I don't know that women are constantly holding up a mirror, but you are always turning around and looking in the mirror to see how your jeans fit, because it needs to be just right.
Right, and like how much like cellulite is showing, and like if there's any, like if you, like, you know, just to make sure everything looks the way you want it to look, or how it looks even if you don't want it to look that way. But in terms of like physical health, it is important to, you know, as a man, you should be doing
inspections.
Yeah, on yourself, because of testicular and penile cancer. And as women, it's important that we take a look every now and then and get an idea of what's going on.
Nothing new growing back there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And don't forget, if you're over 50, prostate and colonoscopy. And we need to get our mammograms too. I mean, I hate to bring it down to
Yeah,
like Bummerville, but
yeah.
oh my God,
Killjoy.
I know. Hey, I want to be around to look at more of her art for like ever. That's beautiful. So tell us about this piece.
More eggs. So you already have
Broken
the
eggs.
scope on the eggs. Yes. So these are broken. It's called This Woman's World.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
This was actually the first of the big drawings. I was trying to figure things
And
out.
how big?
This one's big, like 4.5 feet by 3.5. Something
Oh
like
my
Yeah,
goodness.
because I remember the drawing was almost like life size, you know, and this is a self-portrait.
I think the figure's actually a little larger than life. I used myself as the model, though at the time I was responding. There were 2 women close to me in my life who, right around the same time, learned that their husbands had been cheating on them and had been doing so for quite some time. And they both had small families. And these women were devastated. They just felt like their whole worlds had been destroyed as they knew it. And they were both communicating the same things to me about wanting to just curl up and go to sleep and just wake up and it would all be over with, that they wouldn't have to deal with this. And so just all that emotion, I thought I have to draw this. I need to put it out there. So that's what I was responding.
So when you put yourself as a subject or as the model for this type of work, especially like a piece like that, do people ask you if this is about your personal life, or they like they assume that it's about your personal life? So I know when I put myself as a subject, I usually use it to deflect because I don't want to single anybody out, but people always assume that it's about me and it's autobiographical, even if it isn't.
Sometimes, you never know. Most people respond to this more as her, like they take it away from me. Though they will say, "Is that you?" I don't know. They haven't said too much directly to me. I did, though, have a man who came into the museum, and this piece was on the same wall with the other one with the eggs. And he's just started to cry. He had tears running down his face, and he got all embarrassed and said, "So sad, so beautiful," and he ran out of the room. And I thought, oh,
wow, isn't it wonderful?
I'm sorry.
though? No, to evoke that kind of response from another person.
Yeah, I mean,
through your art is just.
I was glad he responded, but I sure didn't mean to make him cry and get all embarrassed.
It's the human condition.
You never know what's going on with somebody and how they're going to react to something. It's interesting.
So what do you have coming up?
Gosh, I have a couple things in the works, but they're not solid, so I'm not going to put them out there yet.
Well, we look forward to seeing them.
They'll be there on Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent. And what is your Instagram?
Serena underscore muse.
Excellent.
As in the poet's muse.
Right, of course.
Because
Excellent.
my husband's the writer-poet.
I see. And how long have you been married?
Gosh, 22 years.
Whoa, and how long have you been married?
Oh, my wife's gonna kill me.
Oh, so long.
Put him on the spot.
Well, we got married in '89, was it? Oh, no, she's gonna kill me. Well,
it doesn't matter.
28 years.
It's been blissful.
It's been blissful. You haven't been counting it down like a prison sentence.
No, I haven't.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
Terrible.
I'm just bad.
You are. You're the worst.
I'm wicked. It says so on my arm.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, tell us about Wonder Woman. And maybe, there we go. Wow.
So this is a triptych. And so when the three are together, it's about 60 inches long. And I had this idea in my head for a painting, and every time as I started to run through the process of getting the images and the references for the painting, I realized that could be performance art in a video. So there's actually a video that goes to this that came first.
Wow.
Where I had 100 raw eggs thrown at me, and that was fun.
Who was throwing them? Did people pay for the privilege?
My friends and family, and a couple strangers just came up and started throwing things too.
Where did this
So
egg?
were these raw eggs?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in the shell, they were breaking on you, or?
Yes.
And
Let's see, we shot in an alley in LA, and gosh, now I'm on the spot. The artist, Terrell Moore, is it?
I'm not familiar.
Okay, well, we shot behind his gallery.
and your friends and family came out and threw dozens of raw eggs at you?
Mm-hmm.
And what were you wearing?
Well, I'm dressed just like in the
Kind of a
painting.
Wonder Woman type bikini?
So Eric Swenson actually did the cinematography, though it was all my concept and my art. I painted a big 8-foot mural of Wonder Woman that went behind, and basically got attacked by eggs and get knocked down. And
How many dozens of eggs do you?
we had over 100 eggs.
Wow.
It hurt. I had big bruises.
You had goose eggs on you.
did.
Because
That's what I'm thinking.
Wow, that's
So what was this about?
The idea was you get knocked down, so the center one, she's curled up and, protecting herself from the eggs. And then in the last frame there, I took bottles of Perrier and washed off the eggs and took off the eggy clothes and basically walked off the screen. So simple concept. What makes you Wonder Woman is not being perfect and never getting knocked down, but getting back up. That's what makes us superheroes, is that we just keep getting back up every time we get knocked down.
nice. Very, very
simple.
nice. And what is this?
This is called Victor Victoria, another charcoal drawing. These two are my friend Anna's children. They're just, they were the perfect age and just really good sports, They still are at that age where they can have fun and dress up, and were willing to do what I asked them to. So they were really good sports.
So when was this?
When?
Yeah, like.
This is recent. Well, I think I finished it in November.
Oh, so they're still young. I'm just wondering, like, when they're older, when they look at this, like what how their relationship to it will change.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I like that what's great is that kids do have a certain androgyny when they're like, until they hit puberty, really, there's a certain androgyny, and you're playing with that and the idea of the self. And again, the audience is the mirror.
Yeah.
And their comfortableness with each other, that they can, have that exchange and that playfulness.
Well, yeah, I've been giving a lot of thought to that sense of self and our identity, and how that's molded. How much of it is us just watching what our parents do and mimicking that. In this case, they're kind of swapping over, trying on, different roles. And then, we've had the Jenner in the news, and the transgender, and all of these issues coming up in the news, and I just thought we should take a look at that, look a little closer. And for me, I come from a very conservative religious background, which I've stepped away from. And so for me, it's interesting to see which people approach this and just say, oh, how cute, they're dressing up. And then there are other people that approach it and go, oh, this is really great, you're dealing with gender issues here. And, so people see what they want to see. So
are there people who do think that you're playing with with gender issues and don't like it?
Most, if they do, are not telling me, though I did have one person that came through the museum that I could just tell by her attitude that she wasn't too happy with that one. But that's okay. It's starting
I think it's beautiful.
I try to get
and
people
so
to think.
playful. And so innocent, because it's not setting an agenda, it's just showing two kids playing.
Right. I like to just put it out there, let you ask the questions, hopefully start a dialogue.
And this is also a large piece.
I keep going like this.
Not to draw attention, not to call you out on that or anything like that. I just think they're impressive sizes. I remember seeing them in the museum, and
I'm not opposed to drawing small, but for some reason I feel like to get into that intimacy, I want you up in their faces.
Right,
Yeah.
and the
To have
same
that
so that
feeling.
we're similar sized, and we do have that confrontation, because it's very easy with small figures to it's a painting, but this is immediate and direct and life size.
Yeah.
well, these are bigger than life size.
They do. Some of them get a little larger.
Well, I mean, this one in particular, I remember it seemed like it seemed monumental to me, and just beautiful. What's it? I'm trying to. I can't remember how many of these drawings you had, and to me it seemed like the drawings had a different thematically. They had a different feel about them than the paintings, but it was a great combination of having them both next to each other. Mm-hmm. Do you normally have them showing together, or do you keep them separate?
It just depends. I have had paintings and drawings in the same show, but they're often separated. I really enjoyed having them in the same space. It was interesting to get people's reactions to both of them at the same time. There were more drawings than paintings because the other show the museum had happening was about mark making, and so they told me they wanted more pieces about mark making. So I went heavier on the drawings than the paintings. But I do think you're right. The drawings tend to have the composition's a little more simple, the shallower backgrounds, they're right in your face, and I think people can respond real quickly to them. I had one girl who came through, a college student, who said, I look at these and I immediately go, I get that. Like you can see it and you respond and you just think, I get that. And she really loved that about him. Whereas some of the other pieces, they have to stand there much longer trying to figure out what is the slingshot, what is the rock, what's happening, what are they reading, So I work on different levels.
Well, the paintings sometimes, you can get a sense, and probably because, in the history of painting, people want to make them more dense, and with drawings, there's a immediacy and delicacy that you don't. I don't think it's harder to achieve in painting, and they're just so inviting. I love your drawings. You know that.
Well, thank you.
Do we have another one, Nolan, or is it? That was it.
That's it. Well, I guess this is the time. Matt doesn't like my pets. Matt has an amazing dog named Eber, but he doesn't. When I bring up my pets, he gets very upset. Since Matt isn't here today, I wanted to let you know I brought my pet.
You brought a pet?
I brought my pet.
Jesus.
I brought my pet. Look. Look at my beautiful pet. Isn't he beautiful?
Oh my God.
The new show mascot.
This is Simon.
Simon.
He's very wise and gentle. Would you like to pet him?
I'm okay.
Really?
Uh-huh.
You don't like spiders?
I'm not a big fan.
Well, he's a big fan of yours.
Really?
Yeah, he loves crawling over your Facebook artwork.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Are you sure?
No.
No.
I'll stick with Louise Bourgeois.
Isn't he adorable?
Oh my God.
He is
He's
so
huge.
sweet. You know, he doesn't eat much. He's very quiet. He sleeps a lot, and he does keep away unwanted pests
Yeah.
and creepers.
And creepers.
Come
huh?
on, Simon. Here you go, baby. There you go. Thanks. He was so good in the Uber over. He didn't make a single fuss. He didn't. Woo! So next week, we have surprise guests. We will not be live because Matt and I will both be away. But you will be able to tune in at 5 p.m. on dronebox.com and enjoy another exciting episode of Modern Art Blitz.
And the show is archived and will be available on YouTube. So
And then on Facebook.
and on Facebook.
And on our website, Modern Art Blitz.
And on the modernartblitz.com
website.
And I do apologize. I normally keep that up to date, but I was out of state, and so I was not
Driving in a snowstorm.
driving through snow for the first time in my life, and that was scary, but in a very macho sort of way. But
Was it? Did you take photos of the person you visited? Are you going to do a piece of art for them?
I did take some photos, but Mr. Nick Tran, my BFF and longest friend and brother I've had, somewhat of a private person, so he probably doesn't appreciate me talking about him.
At all.
But I will be doing a piece with him, but he might not want me to.
Well, that would be a lovely way to pay tribute to your friend. Do you do commission portraits? I know occasionally you do them, but you have a 1-year waiting list.
I do, and well, I find that it's if people really want a portrait done, that they'll be willing to wait. And sometimes I think that people don't really want a portrait done, but they like to say that they do.
Right.
And do you get that? I mean, because when you do portrait, when you draw people think there's basically a portraiture series. But there, even though the work may have narratives, and it's a more complicated than that.
Yes, I tell them up front, I take the photographs and I get to do whatever I want. And if you have a mole, a scar, a wrinkle, whatever, it's going to be there because that's what makes you interesting and beautiful. And if you're okay with that, then let's go ahead.
Excellent. Well, we just got the high sign from Nolan, who's been handling all of our tech for today.
Yeah.
So thank you all thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This has
It was
been
really
great.
great. It was really nice to get to know you outside of your artwork, which I've always really appreciated. But now I get to know
Thanks.
the person behind it.
This has been fun.
And you are one of my great heroes.
And I am nervous.
And you're nervous? Oh, I couldn't tell in the least. You handled it like a true hero. All right. Well,
All right. Well, we'll say goodbye.
We'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Say
And
bye.
thank you for tuning in.
Welcome to the land of illusion. Welcome to your final resting place. I see your mind's full of delusion. When you look in the mirror, do you see your own face? Welcome to California. Place for hopes, place for dreams. Thank